When it comes to choosing who to pull in patch 2.6, it's actually really obvious and an easy choice this time. Despite getting a ninja character that can rap, we also had a reunion with some of our old friends. For those of you that still can't decide on whose banner that you are going to spend your jades, then this video is for you. I will help you to run through every character by taking the 4 stars into consideration as well. So let's get the video started. The only new character in this patch is our next Galaxy Ranger, RAPPA. She's going to be a limited 5-star imaginary erudition. One thing that you should know, her kit and playstyle is going to revolve around Break and Super Break. AoE damage is her specialty, so that is what makes her stand out from other DPS breaker. Rappa's ability can ignore enemies' weakness, thus she can deplete any toughness by using her enhanced basic attack. That will deal 2 instances of blast attacks and 1 AoE attack as the third hit. But to gain this ability you must activate her ultimate first. The talent also helps her to strengthen her AoE break multiplier. The more often you perform toughness break, more damage to her AoE hit. So she's a good and decent character. RAPPA is now officially joined one of the most used meta in Honkai Star Rail right now, which is the break team composition, and now every DPS path already have their own respective breaker, starting from Hunt, Destruction, and now Erudition. You can definitely use her in many permanent content, especially Pure Fiction, since they usually swarming with small mobs whose toughness bar is relatively low, thus making themselves as a food ready to be eaten by RAPPA, thanks to her enhanced basic attack that can ignore weakness and her talent as well. RAPPA's situation is that she is released at the peak of the break meta, so she will not change anything. Everything is already done by the previous break units, so she's not the type of character that has a really significant difference from any other breaker. She is not bad, she is great instead. But I guess there's no point of pulling her if you already have both Boot Heal and Firefly in one account. How about Pure Fiction then? Yeah, she's going to be a beast in that mode, but RAPPA is not the one that you should seek if you're having a hard time in this permanent content. There are many other units that you should seek and maybe fix to help you win Pure Fiction. So if you already have a complete break team composition, I guess it's safe to skip RAPPA and use your jades for other characters instead. But if you are new to this team and like her design and everything, then you should go get her. But overall, her pull priority will be in the middle. Now we are on the second imaginary character for the first half. Imbibitor Lunae, on the contrary, is a crit-based DPS character. Similar to RAPPA, he is going to use some kind of enhanced basic attack to deal significant damage. But to do that, players need to use some skill points by activating his skill several times to transform his basic attack. Up to 3 skill points can be drained, and once you do, Imbibitor will perform a huge damage of blast attack that will hit the enemy 7 times. But his ultimate is going to give you 2 dragon scales upon usage. These dragon scales will be consumed instead of your team's SP the next time you cast his skill to enhance his basic attack. Yeah, he is strong but really skill point hungry. Imbibitor Lunae's performance once at the peak of the game. His multiplier is outstanding, his talent and passives are helping him to deal a massive damage output, and Sparkle existence further elevate his gameplay and bring comfort to players since they don't really need to worry about running out of SP. But after the release of Acheron, Boot Heal and Firefly, his performance is slowly declining and thus needs to be dethroned from his title as the best DPS in the game. Even though he gets outperformed by many DPS units, this doesn't necessarily make him a bad and terrible unit. Just because there are plenty of good DPS out there doesn't make him unable to clear MOC, right? So is it still worth it to pull for him? Actually, that depends on your account's age. If you are an old player that already have many units and have witnessed power creeping cycle in Star Rail, then it's okay to skip him since you probably have claimed auto ratio for free anyway, and he can pretty much help you to cover imaginary content in MOC. But if you are a new player that starts the game from patch 2.0 and above, I think it's still worth it to pull for Imbibitor, since he is technically still a great unit. Overall, I would say his pull priority is still on the mid level just because he is a DPS, but this can be even higher depending on your account. As for the 4 stars, Lynx is a free unit. All you have to do is clear the camping in the snow event to claim her, and this event is permanent so you don't have to worry about it. Her performance as a healer is already solid at E0, so that means her existence in this banner is technically not needed, as her Eidolon can be nice, but not something that you must have or aim for. Shui is the same, she is free from the event Nether Puppet that is permanently available. Her performance is really good even with 0 Eidolons, and I would say she's one of the best 4-star DPS in the game, but her E6 is capable of making her even more outstanding. The maximum number of her talent will be reduced to 6 instead of 8, so now you can trigger it more oftenly and thus increase her damage output. So if you are Shui mains and wants to max her Eidolons, this is your chance. Yukong is also a solid support. She can give her team extra crits if you cast her ultimate while she still has Roaring Bowstring, but this might be a little bit of a pain to control her stacks, since she loses 1 stack every ally's turn, but her E6 can help her to mitigate that, so she's still a very good harmony if you like a limited one. Overall, this banner have a score of 7.5 out of 10. They are all good, but you won't missing out on something big if you skip the first half. Now we have Acheron in the second half, the only lightning unit in this patch. By bringing 2 more Nihility units, she can obliterate anything. She completely relies on her burst to deal massive damage, and every team member needs to at least contribute 1 stack of her ultimate simply by applying a debuff. While having a huge damage output, her ultimate can also reduce enemies' toughness regardless of their weakness, and reduce their all-time resistance by 20%. This won't be needing a long explanation. If you don't have Acheron, it's really worth it to pull for her, and if you have more funds, it is still okay to pull her signature as well. Other than further increase her damage output, this also makes us easier in filling up her stacks, since now she gains 2/dreams per action. But what if you already have her? Well, like I said, you can try to pull for her LC or even go all out to her second Eidolon. With this, you no longer need to bring 2 additional Nihility members, and instead pair her with Harmony like Robin, Runmei, or Sparkle. Either way, she is a really great DPS, and because of this, her pull priority will be high if you like off DPS, especially Lightning Element. By just using this character, she can help you to clear all endgame contents. On to the next imaginary character again, but this time he is a sustain, not a DPS. Aventurine is a 5-star limited imaginary character who follows the path of preservation. He maintains his team members' survivability by providing them with a shield. Thanks to one of his traces at the start of the battle, he doesn't need to do anything since all of your party will immediately gain a shield with the same strength as the one that his skill has. Aventurine case is a bit unique since he is a shielder, but at the same time he can act as a sub DPS as well. Whenever his team or himself get attacked while having the shield, he gains points. After it reaches 7, he will unleash a follow-up attack that bounces between the enemy. You don't need to worry about constantly applying a new shield when his turn arrives, because his trace will reset the shield duration after Aventurine successfully triggered the follow-up attack from his talent. Because of this, we can conclude that he is a very SP positive unit. Almost every of his turn you only need to use basic attack to recover skill points. Aventurine is a really great shielder when encountering enemies that has AoE and frequent damage. The more of your team members get hit, the faster he is poised to reach 7, and thus he will perform follow-up attack frequently and resets your shield duration. In addition, his build is very cheap and easy, you don't have to pull for his signature. Even just using any LC here is enough to ensure your team's survivability. You can insert Aventurine in almost every team composition and helps your teams to survive. So is he going to worth your jades? Yes, definitely. For those of you that really need a sustain and like a limited one, Aventurine can be a huge upgrade for you. And unlike a DPS unit that often easily get outperformed, a sustain will preserve long enough. So his pull priority will be high because you won't regret any single stellar jades once you have him in your account. We have March, Sampo, and Pella as the 4 stars for the second half banner. Both Sampo and Pella is very crucial team member for Acheron's team, as they are from the same path as her. Pella's ultimate can reduce enemies' defense by 40%, and her energy cost is relatively low, so that's why she is a quite flexible support and oftenly used in several team comps. You can also combine her with Sweat per LC so that her basic attack can give debuff to contribute more /dream for Acheron. Sampo technically is a dot DPS. He focuses on applying a wind shear to attack the enemy, and he has a really good synergy with Kafka and Black Swan, whose role is also related to DOT. But after the release of Acheron, you can use him as a support for her as well if you don't have Black Swan, and fulfilling the 2 Nihility requirement for her. March 7 is really OP in the early game, but as more updates come, she becomes less used as many other new sustains emerge. But you can definitely still use her with some counter-attacker DPS like Yunli or Clara, since her shield will give additional aggro to the enemy. So I will give the second half banner the score 9 out of 10. But aside all banners that are going to be released in patch 2.6, let's take the future 2.7 characters into consideration as well. First we have Sunday, who was officially announced several days ago. He is going to be a 5-star limited imaginary harmony. Based on the reliable informant, his kit is about buffing one party member only. That means a hyper carry setup is possible for his future team comps. Both of his skill and ultimate are a buffing type of ability. So far there is less information about him, so you might get his full kit next week once the beta starts. The point is, I doubt that he is gonna be used in another break team, but this time hyper carry DPS like Imbibitor or Jingliu might get their spotlight once again. So you might want to consider this as well before spend all of your jades in patch 2.6. Aside from him, there is also TINGYUN. She's going to be a 5-star Annihilatifier. Her skill is going to buff one of your party member, while ultimate will unleash 9 of her tails to damage enemy as well as reducing their toughness regardless of their weakness. She also has enhanced basic attack that will hit multiple enemies. Her talent will inflict extra toughness to enemy once they are on weakness broken state. This is like an additional bar to allow your DPS to do multiple toughness break, and all of your party member will deal super break damage once the enemy is in this state. So yeah, she's going to be used in break team comps. I doubt that this will replace Harmony MC, but instead will replace Run Mei, I guess. So these are the two characters you should keep in mind. You might want to hold your jades for a little bit longer until their full kit is updated. So what do you guys think? I hope this video will be helpful for you in deciding which characters to pull or skip in the nearest patch. Note that this is just personal opinion and you can totally disagree with me. Will you skip this patch and save your jades for future characters? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you humans in the next video.